Hi everyone, it's time for another catch up, and we've just got home from Tasmania where absolutely was freezing down there, and it was pretty eventful weekend. First time we've been out in the wet for a long time in practice, which was pretty scary, to be honest, doing the one hand driving and sliding around, and then getting into the weekend, which yeah, it was a bit mixed for us, but as a team was fantastic to have 4 cars in the top 10 in qualifying, and yeah, quite competitive cars. It's yeah, it's pretty good. So not a bad weekend. We got some more points, and we're sitting okay. So yeah, ask away. I'm going to answer your questions, and obviously happy to ask anything and happy to answer anything. So yeah, fire away. First one, any advice for an L plate driver? Not really sure. A race driver probably doesn't give the best advice to an L plater, but you just got to obviously listen to your instructor, because they're the ones that are in the car with you. But yeah, I'd suggest going for a manual license if you've got the option. Obviously, a lot of people choose the automatic way, but the manual way is harder. But I think that it's really important for L platers to learn in a manual, and then when they go for the P plates, they go in a manual, because you never know when you're out with your friends and you know, they maybe had a couple of drinks or something and you have to drive home. There's nothing more embarrassing than hopping in a car and not knowing how to drive a manual. So my one tip, drive a manual. It'll serve you well. What's the most fun you've ever had in a racing car? Probably, the first time I drove one was pretty cool. It was Willowbank Raceway in a Stone Brothers car. That was probably the most fun I ever had, because I just hopped out of a Formula Ford and just driven a V8 supercar for the first time. That was pretty cool. But the other time was in a sprint car. Drove at Newcastle just before it closed, and pretty well did a test day. They let me do 100 laps, and those things are the coolest things to drive. So the best time in a V8 was the first time, but the best thing I've ever driven and had the most fun was a sprint car. So nothing compares to that. 600 or 700 horsepower on dirt. It's really, really good fun. Have you put an order in for the new Falcon XR8 FGX? I've actually got one. The Ford have supplied me one, which is nice. But I think I remember you from the Fanatics Day. You were asking about the FGX down there, but I haven't bought one yet. But I've actually got one in the driveway. So pretty lucky that they give us the car and have to give it back. But maybe when I give it back, I can potentially buy one day. Do you get much jet lag or fatigue with being so full on for 3 weekends in a row, and how do you control it? It was pretty bad to fly to Brazil. The Grand Prix was easy because you're staying in your own house, but to fly to Brazil, it was 3.5 hours to New Zealand, and then 3 hours layover, and then 12 hours to Santiago, and then a 5-hour layover, and then 4 hours to Sao Paulo, and then I stayed the night, and then I hopped on a flight to Guyana the next morning, and flew there and hopped straight off and did a track walk, did a seat fitting, an engineering meeting, met the drivers, had dinner at about 8 o'clock at night. It was horrible the first night, so yeah, it was really tough. And then when I come back here, I landed and kept waking up at 4 or 5 a.m. So it takes a couple of days, but by Friday at Tassie, it was pretty good again. But yeah, it hit you pretty hard, and it's pretty tired this week. I'm pretty tired, so I'm looking forward to the Easter break, which would be good. Would you be in favour of reverse grid races? We tried them a few years ago, so most people would probably remember, the people who have followed the sport for a while. But I didn't mind them, to be honest. It has to be half points, because otherwise you just get guys that would fox a little and then obviously come out and try and win the second one. It caused a bit of carnage because the the cars passing and stuff were crashing and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, it works quite well. So I'd be all for it, but there is a definite higher risk to it. But I enjoyed the passing, so if they brought it back, I'd support it for sure. Which tracks do you think will suit the new FGX Aero package? I think Perth will. I really think Perth will be good for it. I think Willowbank will be good as well. I think Bathurst will be very good for us. Sandown maybe, definitely Bathurst, but and Phillip Island as well. So they're probably the main ones. But then you've got to throw in Townsville, the Gold Coast, Homebush, Winton. There's quite a few rounds that you need mechanical grip, so we need to work pretty hard on that. So, but yeah, definitely I think Bathurst will be really nice to drive. So I'm looking forward to that this year, but there's a lot between now and then. What is your favourite V8 supercar you have ever driven in your career? I liked, probably the best car was the Cobra, because I thought it was just a cool heritage history looking car, and it was really fast. I won my first ever round at Bahrain in that car, and yeah, it was probably one of my favourite cars. So I'd have to say the 2007 Cobra, which was at Bathurst as well. Have you always been a Ford person? I've always gone for Ford people, and Peter Brock as well, which was probably an exception. But I used to like Glenn Seaton and John Bowe. They were probably my two favourite Ford guys back in the day. So yeah, used to follow them. But I guess out of karting, I never drove Formula Ford, which was a Ford product, and then straight into DVS or Konica Series, which was a Ford again. So I never driven Ford. So I guess since the age of 17 or 18, I've always been Ford, but used to love Peter Brock as well. But didn't go and buy a Holden because of him, but used to follow him. So used to follow a bit of everyone. What type of go-kart did you have? I had a few karts, but the one that I ran was always either a Cosmic or a Tony kart, which was pretty well the same kart, but just different colours. And I used to race with Jim Morton, who was a great mentor for me. But he used to import and sell Tony kart, and then he actually gave me a job, which was probably silly of him to give me a job. But I worked with him for a bit and actually sold the Tony karts and Cosmics as well. So yeah, it was good. And then for the kart stars, I ran an Arrow as well. So sort of ran a few different karts, but Tony kart was the one I ran the most. What do you think of Andre Heimgartner? He's a different sort of guy, but yeah, very nice guy. He moved down here at the start of the year and actually rents one of my townhouses. So he's a tenant and I'm his landlord, which is kind of weird. But so I know him in many different ways. But he did very well on the weekend, and he's a bit more confident now to about his racing. So yeah, he's good. He's in our team. We've got 4 very different people between all the drivers, and he definitely is. He's a great character. So together we're good because no one's the same. So we tend to all not annoy each other too much. Where if you're too much alike, it can sometimes be a bit annoying. So he's a good guy for the team. Do you have any desires to race anything outside of V8s? After Brazil, it sort of opens up a few doors, but I like racing things that are competitive. I wanted to race in the nationwide stuff last year. I wanted to try and do some road race stuff, and got pretty close to doing a deal to race that, but it fell through, unfortunately. But I would love to go and race Mid-Ohio or Watkins Glen or something, just in one-offs, because I think we could do quite well, and yeah, it's a competitive series, so it would be good. Brazil was really good. You know, any of those sort of series that are lots of cars, really close competitiveness, and yeah, it's just hard to get in, that's all. Do you remember the first ever race you seen as a kid? I used to watch Bathurst, was probably the main one, but I always used to go out to Amaroo as well when I was a young kid. So I remember being about 4 or 5 watching a race in Amaroo that John Bell won. I remember John Bell winning, and that's why I sort of followed John Bell. I was 4 years old and saw him win for the first time. So it's that was probably the first race. Which now it's a housing estate, which is a bit sad, but Amaroo was the closest to my home in Sydney, and I always used to go out there. Why does everyone sit in the pits while time qualifying, and then all of a sudden everyone goes out together? There is a strategy involved, I presume. Why don't you guys plus David and Pi all head out together and push each other while everyone is stale in the pits? It's a good question, but effectively the track gets quicker because the rubber goes down a little bit. But if everyone sits in the pits, I know that sounds silly, but there's guys that do go out. On the weekend, McLaughlin went out on his own, which was really silly because at Symmons Plains, you're looking for a tenth of a second and you want to get a tow, slipstream, and it can make a tenth of a second difference, which can be 10 grid spots. That's why everyone goes out together. But on Sunday, it shot me in the foot a little because I got held up by David Wall, which 52-second lap, 28 cars on the track at once, or 26 cars. It can get quite small, and I got stuck behind him, which was hard. You move over to let Lowndes through, got in behind him, and obviously he was about half a second off the pace, which ruined me. I finished my lap, which was going to be a 51.8. Would have put us on the front row, potential for pole, and cost me a couple of tenths, and then cost me the start of the next lap. So if I went on my own, I would have done a better job. But at the same time, there's reasons why we go out. So it normally works for you, but it is a good point. We probably could work together to do it. But saying that, there'll be one guy at the front who is sacrificed, and me being the first car out, it would probably be me. So probably not a wise move for me to just go out and tow all my teammates and not get a tow myself. Would you prefer that V8 supercars dropped the hard tyre and went softs only? I would. I think the softs really produce better racing, but the amount of tyres that they're giving us would probably be quite hard. At Darwin, we need a lot of laps on hard tyres because we don't get given that many. So, but Tassie, the racing on the hard tyre was average. I thought it was average. Just because you can't pass, you put the soft tyre on and instantly the racing lights up. So, I agree. I think the soft tyre is a better tyre for racing and creates a bit better degradation. But with that, you need a bigger allocation. So that's not going to happen, and that probably kills the chance of the soft tyre, which it's all about cost containment. So that's why they keep the tyres down. What is your take on the Will Davison, James Courtney blow up? It's an interesting one. I think that James did the wrong thing, no doubt. He crashed into Will, and sure there was contact after when Chaz made contact with James, but James had already hit Will, which turned him sideways, which caused the concertina. So those first lap ones are always a bit sketchy, but James should have got done. He got away with it. He'd know he would have got away with it. And Will had every right to be upset because I genuinely thought out of all the cars on the weekend, Will probably had one of the best cars out there. He looked like he lacked a little bit of straight line speed, but in terms of handling, that car and himself looked like he could actually challenge Lowndes. So, I would have been disappointed in his spot because you may not get that opportunity again for a long time. So, he had every right, and the way James handled it is sort of how he is. He, was patting him and stuff, and there's not much you can do when someone does that to you. Will just needs to rough him up next time in the track and get him back, and then James will go and see him, and then Will can return the same favour. That's the only way you're ever going to get even. And but he got away with it, so good luck with him. Wondering if you believe carrying my domino under the stars in my hat, it's a lucky charm. It seems to have worked so far. From Ollie. Hey Ollie, you should be in bed. I saw your photo looking at the screen. Yeah, I love the lucky charms. I love it when supporters and people give you lucky charms, because whether they work or not, it's a really kind gesture, and it means you're thinking of making me go better, and you're supporting me. So yeah, I love it. But whether it's a lucky charm for winning or a lucky charm for not getting hurt or whatever it is, I still love it. So thank you, and hopefully it can win some races. But yeah, it's always good when people give it to you. I really appreciate it. How big a cost are tyres to a race team? Have Fiat Supercars gone too far with the tyre restrictions? It is a big cost, and it's easy for me to sit here and say I want 8 sets of tyres, but effectively I'm not paying for them out of my pocket. So I'm sure it hurts more when you have to pay for them. But the thing that it's not like I get 3 sets and Triple Eight get 10 sets. It's the same for everyone. So you support it. The only thing that is hard is when I guess guys in the championship, like Reynolds last year, finished 16th, didn't finish many races, has a massive tyre bank. So in practice, he can put on good tyres, get a read. I'm putting on tyres that are 140k old, and then trying to go 2 seconds quicker in qualifying, and then going, hey, my car's set up different. So that's where it hurts you a little bit, but it's the same for everyone effectively once qualifying starts. And yeah, it's tough, but I'm sure it'll change in the future. But it is what it is at the moment, and you just got to support it. And if it means keeping cars on the grid because the costs are lower, then that's a good thing. So we just support it. Am I excited about 2017, which is the Gen 2 car? And do you currently have plans for a drive in 2016? I think it's interesting. I'm not sure. The parity is going to be a really tough thing to get right, because there's so many different parameters: the engine, the cars, the 2-door, the 4-door. Yeah, so many things. I'm actually a bit nervous about the parity, but I'm excited about the change. But yeah, they're going to have to really do a good job with parity. So we'll have to see what happens there. And for me, I'm at PRA for keep saying FPR, been there too many long. PRA for 2016. So I know where my home is for the future, but it'll take obviously into the Gen 2 car as well. So it'll be interesting. Good to see. I got my Frosty Domino. That's the only one I'm collecting. Do Oliver and Austin have toys of their dad? They do. They've got the Domino. They've got the Frosty cars. They've got the Frosty helmets. They've got the Frosty board shorts. They've got the Frosty pajamas. They've got the Frosty pillow, the Doona. What else have they got? They've got everything, to be honest. So, and we don't get given it either. We have to buy it. But it's pretty cool that your kids want to collect something of your dad, and they love it. And then it's cool when you go to childcare and stuff, or at the track, there's kids and stuff that are collecting them as well. So yeah, it's really cool. And that domino is probably one of the coolest things I've seen to collect as well. Congrats on second in Brazil. Do we have more international driving to look forward to? We're going to New Zealand. That's about all there is. Yeah, unfortunately, that's probably about it for the year. But the Brazil stuff's really cool. It's really cool that they invite me back. They've invited me back again for next year. So we'll see what happens. But there's actually good opportunities there, and they even offered a chance at a full-time drive. So there's good options, but it's pretty hard as well, to go to the Grand Prix and then to go to Brazil and then go to Tassie. It's really, really hard on the body and stuff, and hard on family and hard on everything. So one's good, but if Penske ring me and said, "Hey, come and race at Watkins Glen," I'd be there in a heartbeat. So if you're watching, give me a drive. If not, probably not going to happen. But I'd love to do a nationwide race. That's the one thing that would love to do. We've got how the hell do you see out the windows in Brazil with the big numbers on the windscreen? They're pretty big, and when you put my last name on the window, pretty well takes up the whole screen. But it's transparent, so you can see straight through it, which is pretty cool. But it's good to actually see the numbers that big, but they're a bit too big, to be honest. So but you can see through them, but takes up half the windscreen. It's a bit silly. Why is it that you guys can put an outstanding package together at the Grand Prix, but when it comes to championship rounds, you seem to fall all over yourselves? What is it that Holden teams have that the Ford teams don't? I don't know. We don't necessarily put a good package at the Grand Prix. It was good this year, but last year we were hopeless, to be honest. So it's I think the car really suited that track. I think Perth will be a good round. I really think that we'll do well there. And when we get to Bathurst, I think you'll see the Grand Prix type pace again as well. So it's unfortunate it's not a championship round, because if it was, we'd be leading the points. But it was a good car there, no doubt. We didn't do anything different. We don't try harder at a normal round, and we don't change our structure or anything. It's just, unfortunately, a track that was good for us and for no points. So anyway, it's hopefully we can get it right, and it frustrates me as well, but hopefully we can get it right and dominate a proper round for once, which would be nice. How did the Brazil stock car compare to the V8 supercars? They're slightly lower on horsepower, but a lot more grip. They've got more downforce. They've got more better braking. They've got better tyres. They've got paddle shift. They've got push to pass. They've got so many things. So many things on them that our cars don't. But it's a really cool car. But when you have slightest contact, they delaminate. They just fall apart. So really hard to race. But a bit different. They're quite a good car. I really like driving them, and the left-hand drive is probably one of the biggest differences out of everything. H pattern or sequential? What's better? It's easier to drive a sequential, but I actually didn't mind the H pattern either, because it made you work harder and it made people miss gears and stuff like that. So I think the sequential makes it easier to drive, but it takes the driver element out of it a little bit. So, but yeah, I wouldn't mind paddle shift. The paddle shift over in Brazil was really cool, and I love that. So it was always something different. Anyway, the sequential is probably what we're going to have for a long time. Are you happy with the 5-week break of Bowen events? Or would you rather the season run more regularly, say 2 weeks between events? 5 weeks way too long. It sort of, our championship builds momentum and it stops. So, you try to follow it, and then when it stops, it's hard to pick up the sport again. But it's important for the teams as well. So, it's one of those things. Driver, we should race every 2 weeks. From a team point of view, it probably, we need it. So it's important to keep the guys refreshed and give them an Easter break and actually re-energise, because we lose all the guys if we push them, any harder. Does Nathaniel Osborne have the best beard in the V8 Supercar Championship? It's pretty good. It's got a pretty good bush going on his face, but I think Darwood's probably got him. He's got a pretty good beard as well. But yeah, it's a bit of a competition at the moment between the blokes. They're getting a bit of a beard. I'd join them if I could actually grow a beard, but probably don't have long enough in my career to get one. So probably take me 4 years to get any sort of bush like Ozzy. But yeah, he's doing all right. What happens on race day besides racing for the driver? Where do you start? Depends. Like an Adelaide round is probably the craziest of the lot. It means turning up at 7, pit stop practice, breakfast, engineering meeting, autograph session, Castrol visit, Dunlop visit, Ford visit, Pepsi visit, practice or qualifying, engineering meeting, V8 Supercar autograph session, pit tours, get some lunch in there, try and fit in a toilet break. They're not scheduled and they're quite hard to get. Get back in the car, you race, you brief again, you go to a press conference, you do media, and you try and get back to the hotel by 9 o'clock. So it sounds like I'm exaggerating, but it's honestly like that. So that's why, you try and see everyone as well and stuff, and chat to people who come up and see you. But sometimes if you ever, got your head down and trying to, it might be to try and get lunch or something. So your rounds are busy. Tassie, not so busy, it's pretty cruisy, but Adelaide, Townsville, Homebush, Bathurst, they're all as crazy as the Adelaide rounds. So it's pretty busy. How do you feel about the loss of so many fans due to Foxtel? It's a tough one, and yeah, I think the Foxtel is really good for the coverage. Has been fantastic. To have a show once or twice a week is amazing as well. So I fully support the way the sport's gone, but at the same time, I know everyone can't afford it, and to have a highlights package on after the race and after people have read social media and stuff is a bit average. So I'm on everyone's side, to be honest. I think the Foxtel deal, if you can afford it, it is taking the sport to a new level. In-car cameras and the shows and all that sort of stuff. I said high definition. More funding goes to the teams because effectively they get a share of the dividends. So it's really important for the sport, and I know people are not all for it, but it is a massive plus for teams and the sport. For the people who can't afford it, then the Channel 10 is a good option. So it's live chats. It's why I try and give back to people as well. So I'm doing my bit for everyone. I can't change the decision, but if anyone wants to or thinks that we can help in any way, whether it's updating or give us some feedback, because we'll do our best to help do what we can. But I can't change the TV deal. So complaining on the comments to me, it's not going to help. But give me some good feedback, and I'll do my best to help any way I can. Live chats is one way. If I can update you better, give you more information, whatever it is, let me know. And, I want to help as well. So keep them coming. I was confused as to why PRA swapped used soft tyres on Mostert's car. Wouldn't he have had more pace on new tyres? The soft tyre is way quicker, and his strategy was the best, to be honest. So he started on softs, put hard tyres on, pulled the soft tyres on, cooled them down, let them repressure, cross-swapped them, and put them on his car. So he had the best strategy, and the soft tyre at the end was still better than the hard tyre pace. Also, if you put hards on, you would have had to put a set of used hards on because we got 3 for the weekend. Had 2 races on Saturday on one set each, and then had 1 stint on Sunday on hard tyres. So there would have been reused hard tyres, which would have been even slower again. So that's the reason. That's the best strategy, and that's why they did it. We'll finish up pretty soon, but where did all the speed go from Friday's practice? I'm hearing you, and I don't know. We chased it. I think the track gripped up, and I got more and more understeer. So on the greasy track, my car was amazing, to be honest. So disappointed that we lost speed, but our other team cars got better. So by Sunday race, we actually went the route of Reynolds, and that improved it. So yeah, we think we've got a car for a greasy track, and we've got a car for a grippier track. So we'll see. Time will tell. All right, last one. The FGX update has moved the Falcon closer to the Commodore, but the new aero package on the Commodore, but with the new aero package, are they more equal, or does the Commodore still have an advantage? I think they're equal, to be honest. The Commodore got a bigger rear wing and more over the back, but I think they're even. So we're just trying to see how ours work, but it's nice that on some tracks the Commodore works better, and on other tracks the Falcon will work better, and other tracks the Volvo is going to be better, and the Mercedes was good at Tassie. So yeah, it's it's one of those things that are going to be good and bad tracks, but I think they're pretty equal, and this is the most parity they've ever had in our sport, which is a credit to the guys that did the test. All right, last one. I've got to say hi to Cooper, because it will make his day. So he's 3. So hi, Cooper, and I hope you have a good day, buddy. All right, we're going to finish up, but I'm going to give some stuff away again. So the good thing with Brazil, I bring back some pretty cool stuff. So I'm going to give away 2 Simed Vox racing shirts. They're pretty cool. I think they're pretty cool. I signed them, and they're podium shirts as well. But no one in this country has them except for the 2 winners last year. So pretty rare item, and I think they're pretty cool. So we're going to go for some questions, and you've got to post them on my feed, which is the Join Me Tonight live and free video chat post that is on Facebook. And the first answers that are correct are going to win these 2 shirts. So good luck. I think they're pretty cool. So they're cool shirts. I'm going to ask 3 questions. You've got to answer them all, and they've got to be correct. They've got to be spelt correct. And so it stops you pressing the keyboard too quick and actually have to make you think. So the first one is, what number car did I run in Brazil? So you should know the number's massive and it's on the windscreen. So what number was the car? Second question is, what is my middle name? And the third question is, how many points am I off the lead in the VF Supercar Championship? So I'm pretty close at the moment. So although I'm 6, I'm not that many points off. So good luck. Everyone have a great Easter. It's a busy part of the year, and families obviously get time together. But be safe, because you always hear tragic stories on the road and over Easter. So please be safe. But again, thanks for your support. And if you've got any feedback about if I can give you any more info or what you want to see on my page, give me some good feedback, and I'll do my best to help out. So good night, everyone. Happy Easter, and be safe.